Vajradhara Sumati Muni Shasane Kat Uta Vardanya Shri Bhat Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Oma Guru Vajradhara Sumati Muni Shasane Kat Uta Vardanya Shri Bhat Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Oma Guru Vajradhara Uta Vardanya Shri Bhat Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Om Akike Okudam Dagi Lo Pakyuke Sundandagi Pakyuke Sundandagi Teyerme Chiktu Chingilo Pakyuke Kuda Dagilo Pakyuke Sundandagi Pakyuke Chiktu Jingilo Makyuke Dagilo Makyuke Sundandagi Makyuke Dagi Teyerme Chiktu Jingelo Om Muni Mun Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha Om Muni Muni Ma Shakyamuni Swaha Om Muni Muni Maha Shakyamuni Swaha Sangye Chodan Sogi Chonam La Chancho Pardo Danik Sonam Gin Trola Penchira Sangye Drupar Sangye Chodan Sogi Chonam La Chancho Pardo Danik Cheshe Gibe Sonam Gin Sangye Drupar Sangye Chodan Sogi Dagi Cheshe Gibe Sonam Gin Drola Penchira Sangye Drupar In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I take refuge unto enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. So, I was just remembering Rinpoche, very often when starting to speak, he always starts with so. And basically, he says that one of the reasons for that, because in Tibetan, so means to regenerate. NgalSo. So means positive, means to regenerate. So always start with so. So, like regenerate. Anyhow. Yesterday we were giving a look and doing the part of the practice which regarded mainly the generation stage. And so now we will just go through in a general way, not going into many details, about the completion stage. Generally speaking, there are different ways of practicing the completion stage. The main practice here is divided into two, generation stage and completion stage. Kirim and Zorim, we say in Tibetan. One of the main differences is that, generally speaking, in the generation stage is where we train shamatha, samatha, and vipassana. It means where we train to meditate correctly, to generate the right concentration. It's where we train to, somehow we prepare ourselves for the actual thing. Also, it's like we visualize the three transformations, we visualize the winds absorbing. We do all of this mainly through visualization. That's why all the part of making a lot of visualization of all the Buddhas and the body mandala and all of this, it happens mainly during the part of the generation stage. Completion stage is mostly within our own central channel. When we go to most of the meditations of completion stage, they are mostly inside the central channel. Normally, we like, according to Guya Samaja, the completion stage is divided into 5 parts, which we call Luing, Ngagen, Semen, Gyulu, Ösel, and Suntuk. Which basically is, we call it, it's the isolated body, isolated speech, isolated mind, illusory body, clear light, and union. Okay. We went through 6. Why? Because isolated body is part of the generation stage. Okay. Normally the isolated body, it is actually, when it's counting, it's put inside the generation stage. That's why we have the isolated body first, which is already in the generation stage. Then there is isolated speech, isolated mind, which is Nga'en, Sem-en, and then so isolated speech, isolated mind. Then there is Gyulu, which is the illusory body, Ösel, clear light, and Sunjuk. which is the union of illusory body and clear light. What's the meaning of each one of this? We are not going to go through it now. It is way too complicated and complex and deep. Like, I received this teaching with the text, according to the text of Lama Tsongkhapa, the commentary on Guya Samaja, which is called Zorim Rimnga Saldran, which is like the lamp that clarifies the 5 stages of completion, of realization. This book is translated also into English. So if anybody likes to read it in English, it's possible, even though you may not understand much. In the sense that, also, I remember when we were receiving the teachings, at some point my teacher, he would read one part, I would really not understand that much. And then after one time around, one day I remember, he finished reading it, and then he did like, and he said, it's difficult, huh? And then I was like, oh, luckily I'm not the only one having difficulty here, no? The fact is that it's difficult mainly because it's talking about things that we do not have references in our daily life. It's talking about deep inner experiences and the way how the winds go in and absorb and here and there. And it's things that it's not part of our daily normal common knowledge at all. No? When we are in the generation stage, it's more simple because it's all referring to symbols and metaphors, and it's like more simple somehow. Okay? More complex in the sense that there is much more vast, but is much more simple. The completion stage is not so vast. It's quite subjective to some point. And it mainly has the aspect of making the winds to absorb inside the heart in the indestructible drop. If within the central channel, actually one of the bases for practicing truly the completion stage is what is called in Tibetan Soktsol, or as they say in Tang, Roksol, is actually, which means the ability to absorb our winds within the central channel. So this is like the basic capacity, like, okay, before you learn poetry, you need to learn how to read, right? Okay, reading the alphabet is the basis. Similar to that, to practice the completion stage, the basis is knowing how to absorb the winds in the central channel. That's like the basis truly for completion stage. Generally speaking, in many sadhanas, the part of the completion stage is not put in a clear way, in the sense that it's there, but it's something that mostly you need to meditate in silence. It's not something there is not that much recitation, there is not that much to do in that way. It's something that the practitioner needs to go and meditate in silence within it. Okay? In the specific case of self-healing, as I explained the first day, self-healing is a self-initiation practice. Okay? Generally speaking, there are 3 types of empowerment, 3 types of initiation, which is like Lame Loma Lawang Kurwa, which means when the Guru bestows an empowerment upon the disciple. Then there is when the yogi gives the empowerment to the deity, which is the Ramne. When we do the practices such as the Ramne, is actually when the Vajra master is actually in giving the empowerment, the initiation to the deity. And then there is a 3rd form of initiation, which is a self-initiation, self-empowerment. Okay? So self-healing is actually a form of self-empowerment of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas. So all the parts which regards the empowerment itself, it's connected to the completion stage. Okay? But the structure of the completion stage within the practice of self-healing is based specifically on the self-initiation. So, the completion stage within self-healing is divided into 4 steps, or 4 parts, which are the 4 empowerments, which is the base empowerment, the secret empowerment, the wisdom empowerment, and the word empowerment. or initiation, depend the word that is used. Okay? Tibetan is Wang, which we call Humbe Wang, Sangwe Wang, Sherab Yeshegi Wang, Sik Wang. Okay? These are the four so-called four empowerments. Then, in the end of self-healing, there is an addendum, an appendix, which is the Om Ah Hom Pe Om Hom Ah. Okay? And this is, let's say, the most secret and the most deep part of self-healing. Also, when Rinpoche first taught self-healing, there was someone that said in the beginning, okay, most of the practice is fine, but this is too secret. They felt like, wow. And actually, that part is related to the completion stage. It's a practice of the completion stage, which is the first level of completion stage, which is the isolated speech. The isolated speech is that, which maybe a little bit later I explain a little bit more about this, but is that through the power of the syllables, the sound, which is an inner sound, not an external sound, through the power of the inner sound, we should direct the winds to absorb inside the indestructible drop at the heart. That's the main meaning of it. Okay, after we'll go a little bit more to it. Anyhow, in the practice of self-healing, we have like explicit this part of the practice, okay? Which is like there is the first step on the completion stage practice, which is the isolated speech, which is the Om Ah Hom Pe Om Hom Ah. This is there. And other than this, the way how the practice is structured, as I said before, is based on the self-initiation. So we have the four empowerments. So, without entering now into the details about the meaning of the mantras and the meaning of the mudras and each part of the empowerment, last time we already explained all of this, if I remember correctly. But I like to give a general explanation of the meaning. Okay? Like we did yesterday, having a more general meaning about the generation of 6 syllables, symbol, and the Buddhas, even though we went to details on the actual meaning. Okay? Today I'd like to do something similar related to the completion stage with the 4 empowerments. Okay? First of all, for me it has always been, and it is still quite difficult, to give one precise definition of what an empowerment is. It's something that I have been trying. One day I hope to get there. But to have a precise definition of what actually is an empowerment. No? And my own understanding is that an empowerment basically, it has different levels, but one meaning is that when we are introduced to a practice, is one meaning. But the other meaning is that the empowerment is sure when we are introduced in the sense like we get connected to that lineage, to that practice. But there is also the other meaning is that through the empowerment we are induced to certain levels of consciousness, like it's like an external condition which is granted to us of blessing, so that we develop a deeper state of consciousness and we are able to purify ourselves in a deeper level. Okay? So, I believe that when we talk about empowerment, it has very deep meaning, so that's why it's very difficult to put it into one definition, because it's something very deep, so it has many aspects within it. So that's why I believe it's so difficult to put into one specific definition. Okay? But let's go through understanding the 4 empowerments, then maybe we can understand better the meaning of empowerment. First of all, the empowerment is not something that we gain from someone, and we don't need to put our own effort or don't need to put our practice within it. When we talk about receiving the empowerment, it's not like, oh, Guru Buddha, do something for me, grant me the empowerment, and then I will be fine. We are requesting the blessings of the empowerment so that we can develop our own strength. Okay? Just one curiosity, not a curiosity, maybe more a reflection. The empowerment, mainly it's divided first into the 4 empowerments. As we said, the first empowerment is called the vase empowerment. Okay? The vase empowerment is called vase empowerment because it happens through water. And it's the empowerment of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas plus the Vajra Master empowerment. And I was reading in one commentary of Lama Tsongkhapa, which is the gradual path of Tantra, the great exposition of the gradual path of Tantra, NgalSo Tantric, where it explains the whole initiations and many things, quite not very detailed actually. And there is one part, from my understanding, it was explained that originally there was one thing called Wangitikpo, Tibetan. Wangitikpo, it was, from what I understood, it was that at that long time ago, when the empowerment was given, there was a sort of a little place where the disciple would enter, and then would be like really water pouring down. And then we look at other traditions, like the most well-known in the West is the Christian tradition. There is the empowerment, which is the baptizing. And it happens the same way through water also. So it has this aspect of empowering. Okay? Empowerment, it means when you start, when you become something, like I give you my permit somehow. And if we look also similar to that in the Christian tradition, is also coming like purifying the negativities and from that moment becoming a Christian. No? I don't know much about Christian tradition at all. But I know that this has nothing, this tradition of baptism sure was not existing there at the time before Christ in this area. It's something he brought from wherever he brought. But it's extremely similar to the Indian old traditions, and that is also within Buddhism. Okay? There are actually many things, if we look to Christianity, that don't exist in the original Jewish tradition, and that Christ brought it, but are extremely similar to older traditions like in Buddhism. So sure, there is some influence there from somewhere. What is the influence, how it is coming, what it is, I don't know. But sure, there is some connection, it's there. No? Anyhow, what I want to say is that the empowerment originally, it's called the vase empowerment because it is connected directly with water. So it's said that in the original times it was like really a lot of water pouring down on the head of the practitioner in the moment of the actual empowerment. Then later, what it became, it was then there is just a vase. Okay? Then some, like when you see like when we have an empowerment, then sometimes, no? Guru is doing like this, sprinkling water, no? And then sometimes it's just like putting the vase on the head. Sometimes it's just taking some little water, drinking it. Okay? This basically was before. Rinpoche once told me all the names. Now I have very bad memory of names. But Rinpoche was telling me the names of every Mahasiddha that have this different tradition. Like some Mahasiddhas would put the vase on the head. Some Mahasiddhas would sprinkle the water. Some Mahasiddhas would give the water to drink. So what we do the three. Okay? Normally, because it's in our lineage somehow this, so it is kept this tradition. But when we visualize the empowerment, normally, we visualize that the water is poured on the head and it fills completely the body with water. It's not like just a little water sprinkling. Okay? And it is actually something quite important. Whenever there is also the part of generating oneself as the deity or visualizing the deity in front of us, there is always the empowerment there. So as I said before, something that I'm still on my process of research, of finding a definition. What I mean finding a definition for me means understanding it conceptually. Because there are some things that there is a whole symbology there. So what's the actual meaning behind? Some things this is one part which I'm still on my own process of research. And so we have the 4 empowerments. As we were saying, the first one, which is called the vase empowerment, is called the vase empowerment because it's based on water. Okay? So all the time the empowerment, it happens in the moment that we receive the water pouring down through our crown. This is normally the way how it's represented. And as I was saying, originally there was the actual element, water, being poured in the head of the person. nowadays, most of the time, the lamas are like sprinkling the water and or touching with a vase, okay? Or drinking a little bit of water. Like in many empowerments, such as Yamantaka empowerment, it's very common when we go to the 5 initiations of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, plus the Vajra Master empowerment, which is the vase empowerment. There is some little, the guru puts the water from his vase into another vase, and then the monks or someone around distributing some little water, then we just drink like this. Okay? So this is symbolizing this water. It's like the empowerment through water. That's the substance to which we receive the empowerment. The first 5, 6 empowerments, from my understanding, they represent the fact of transforming our own identity and purifying ourselves in a more gross level. It is subtle, but it's from the subtle is a more gross level. Okay, so we are purifying the gross mind, we are purifying and transforming the gross body, mostly on that level. We are working on the gross level of the body. Okay, so that's why it's like eliminating anger and attachment and fear and jealousy and ignorance. All of this is more like sure, there are the imprints of this in our subtle mind, but at this moment we are working more in the more, let's say, more gross level. Okay? So we have what is called the 5 empowerments of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, and within that we have, first, if we follow, because in the practice of self-healing we follow the order of the body mandala. Normally when we are in a normal empowerment, like when we receive the empowerment from the guru, we follow the order of the external mandala. So we have in the East Akshobhya, for instance. So we do first Akshobhya, then we do Ratnasambhava, then we do Amitabha, then Amoghasiddhi, then Vairochana. Or like in Yamantaka, we start first with Vairochana in the East, then Ratnasambhava in the South, Amitabha in the West, Amoghasiddhi in the North, and then Akshobhya in the center. Okay? So the order depends on what we are following. Self-healing, we are following the body mandala. Okay? So, we have what is called the bell empowerment of Amoghasiddhi. Then we have the crown empowerment of Ratnasambhava, the water empowerment or vase empowerment of Akshobhya, the Vajra empowerment of Amitabha, and the name empowerment of Vairochana. Then, after that, there is the Vajra Master empowerment. Okay? All these empowerments have one particular aspect. So they are very similar. Once we understand one, then the other ones get quite easy to understand. The first 5. Which is, it is always the fact of generating a new sensation of great bliss and emptiness through one condition. There is one condition through which we generate a new sensation of great bliss and emptiness. Making an example, metaphor, it's like I drink the tea, and by the tea, I experience pleasure, and by this pleasure I unite with emptiness and experience a new sensation of great bliss and emptiness. Then I look at the flower, and by looking at the flower, I experience a sensation of bliss that realizes emptiness. And like this we go on and on. It's like, whenever we talk about the union of great bliss and emptiness, it's always the generation of bliss. Bliss is the observer. Emptiness is the object perceived. So it's like making another example. Let's say when I look at the flowers, I can see the flowers with happiness, with sadness, with anger, with love, with different emotions. I can see the flower, right? I can be looking at the flower and I can have different emotions within myself, okay? Within different states of mind. So if I look at the flowers and I have a state of mind of sadness, it's the sadness that perceives the flowers. If I am in a state of mind of happiness, it's the happiness that perceives the flowers. Okay? So similar to that, we generate an inner state of great bliss, and within great bliss is the great bliss that realizes the lack of inherent existence. That's why we say the union of great bliss and emptiness, in which the observer is great bliss and the object observed is emptiness. The specific characteristics of this experience, of this perception, is that bliss itself is also empty of inherent existence. So, it becomes a non-dual perception in which there is no more difference between the observer and the object of perception. There are the two, but the way of experiencing is like if it's only one. There is no more possible to distinguish one from the other. Okay? So, during the 5 empowerments, we experience a new sensation of great bliss and emptiness through different objects, through different conditions. So in the first moment, which is Amoghasiddhi empowerment, bell empowerment, by listening to the sound of the bell, by the sound of the bell, okay, by the substance of the bell, it generates on us a new sensation of great bliss and emptiness, a new sense of bliss through which we realize emptiness. So, the object, which is the symbol of this empowerment, is the bell. So by receiving this, by seeing the bell, by listening to the bell of Amoghasiddhi, we'll experience a new sensation of great bliss and emptiness that is directed specifically to purify the negativities related to our 6th chakra. Okay? So what is purifying our negativities is the new sensation of great bliss and emptiness that we generate by seeing and listening to the bell of Buddha Amoghasiddhi. That's the condition through which we generate a new sensation of great bliss and emptiness that purifies our negativity. Okay? It's an important step because what is purifying our negativities is not Buddha Amoghasiddhi from somewhere. It's the new sensation of great bliss and emptiness that we generate that happens through the condition of the bell. So the bell is like a condition through which we experience a new sensation of great bliss and emptiness. Okay? Then the second empowerment is the empowerment of the crown, similar to that. By looking and touching and receiving the crown, we experience a new sensation of great bliss and emptiness that purifies all our negativities, especially those related to the navel chakra, Buddha Ratnasambhava, such as pride, miserliness, and arrogance. Then, in the heart chakra, by receiving the water and by looking at the vase and receiving and experiencing the water of Akshobhya, we experience once again a new sensation of great bliss and emptiness that purifies all the negativities specifically related to our heart chakra and Buddha Akshobhya. And then, in the next part, which is Amitabha Vajra empowerment, by touching the Vajra and by seeing the Vajra, we experience a new sensation of great bliss and emptiness that purifies the negativity related to our throat chakra and Buddha Amitabha. And in the 5th empowerment, which is Vairocana, by listening to the name, which is you are Vairocana, you are Amitabha, you are Akshobhya, you are Ratnasambhava, you are Amoghasiddhi. By listening to the name, by receiving the name, by listening to the name that we receive, we experience a new sensation of great bliss that realizes emptiness. And by that, we purify the negativities related to our crown chakra and Buddha Vairocana. Okay? This is the process of what is happening. One important thing is that someone may say, oh, but how can I purify the negativities if I am already visualizing myself as a Buddha? Because we did in the beginning, Omo Sobhava Shuddha Sarva Dharma Sobhava Shuddho Ham. And from that we generate already ourselves as a Buddha. As Vajrasattva and so on, or Akshobhya, or one of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas or the 5 Great Mothers. And we are already ourselves as a Buddha with all our qualities developed as the 5 Dhyani Buddhas in our chakras and so on. Someone may come correctly with the question and say, okay, I find some incoherence because I am already myself as a Buddha, then suddenly I need to purify something. This is not fitting. Okay? So, basically, at this moment of the practice, if we have a real how to say, divine awareness of being a Buddha, then we have nothing to purify. We just concentrate in the qualities of each one of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas that we have fully developed. Okay? If we don't have, as is the case for beginners, if we don't have the full awareness of being, or the full divine awareness of being a Buddha, but we still visualize ourselves as a Buddha, at that moment we keep the appearance, but we slightly let go the identity of seeing ourselves as a Buddha. Okay? Because sel nang yeba, ngagel chung sel heba in Tibetan. Keep the appearance, the clear appearance, which is the image of ourselves as a Buddha, but you let go slightly the identity of oneself as a Buddha. Okay? It's like in the sadhana of Yamantaka, there is a moment that we do the Vajrasattva practice within the sadhana of Yamantaka. But we are already generated ourselves as Yamantaka. So the question is, how can I purify negativities if I am Yamantaka? This is not coherent, no? So at this part of the practice, there is 2 ways of doing it. One way is by actually keeping the appearance, but going back to the state of mind in which we know that we are not, we don't feel ourselves fully as Yamantaka. So we go back to our normal identity somehow, and then we purify it, and then after we generate ourselves back again as Yamantaka. Or the other way, in that case of Yamantaka, we can visualize within our heart ourselves in the ordinary form that receives all the purification. Okay? So similar to that, when we do the practice of self-healing at this point, as I said before, if we have a real pure identity of oneself as Buddha, as a pure state, then we go directly of just focusing on the qualities of each one of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas. Okay? And recognizing ourselves within that quality. For beginners, what happened for us is that we keep the appearance of ourselves as a Buddha with all the body mandala of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, but we let go little bit the identity of oneself as a Buddha, and somehow we bring back our own ordinary identity, so we purify it once again, so we regenerate ourselves once again as a deity. It's somehow a way of going back and even making more strong our divine identity that we generate. Okay? So this is the way how to do that. So as we do this part of the practice, once we understand one Dhyani Buddha, then all the others we understand. And basically, we concentrate on the Dhyani Buddha on the specific chakra. Let's say we start with Amoga Siddhi, so we concentrate on Buddha Moga Siddhi. It's like if we zoom in into Buddha Moga Siddhi at our 6th chakra. It's also possible at this moment, if we do a little bit more complex way, we can visualize that we dissolve into emptiness. From emptiness, we appear as Buddha Moga Siddhi. Okay? Or we simply concentrate on Buddha Moga Siddhi at our secret chakra, and in Buddha Moga Siddhi at the secret chakra of Guru Buddha in front of us. Okay? Then light and nectar come from his Guru Buddha, from Amoga Siddhi at his chakra, come to us. The light and nectar has the right color, in this case green. It fills completely our body. But before that, it's purifying all the negativity. So we concentrate on all the negativities related to that. Okay, sorry, one part missing. First of all, we have Buddha Moga Siddhi in front of us. Buddha Moga Siddhi plays the bell. We listen by seeing the symbol of Moga Siddhi, by seeing that we receive the empowerment. Okay? And we receive the empowerment in the form of it's called empowering deities. Normally are the 5 mothers. And they come with vases similar to this, or we can call vases like crystal vases and vases filled with nectar. And they pour the nectar in our crown. And as they pour the nectar in our crown, and as we receive the empowerment, and by listening to the sound of the bell, we experience a new sensation of great bliss that realizes emptiness. And by experiencing this new sensation that fills the whole body and mind, we purify the specific negativities related to the sacral chakra. So we purify, in this case, jealousy, envy, fear, and all the sicknesses related to the sacral chakra. Okay? And we purify also the aggregate of compositional factors and the all-realizing wisdom we develop with it. Once we did the purification, which is more like the sensation of great bliss that expands, that realizes emptiness, and then as it expands, it gives no more space for any negativity, so it's like pushing the negativities away. And the negativities go out in the form of dark green garudas, smoke and dirt. Like yesterday we talked about the animals. So each chakra, each Dhyani Buddha is related, the negativities are represented in the form of a different animal. Okay? So they go out. We use our breath to help on that. And then as we inhale, from Buddha Moga Siddhi in front of us, there is light that manifests, comes to us, fills completely our body. We are in the state of great bliss and emptiness. And then we focus on the qualities that we develop. So we focus on the qualities of Buddha Moga Siddhi, which is the pure aggregate of composition of factors, which is the all-realizing wisdom completely developed, which is the ability of realizing things, the power of realization, which is the rejoicing aspect of being happy for the happiness of others, the wrathful action. So we concentrate on all the qualities of Buddha Amoga Siddhi, and not as something that we are receiving from outside, but something that we are revitalizing and generating from inside. So it's like saying, I have these qualities. We concentrate on and say, okay, my aggregate of composition of factors is pure. My all-realizing wisdom is completely full, is completely to its maximum potential. I have a total state of realization and rejoicing, and I have realized the wrathful action. So we realize we have fully realized the qualities of Amoga Siddhi within us. It's very important for us to recognize ourselves within us. So it's somehow what we do is that we need to generate one identity in which we say, I am Amoga Siddhi, because I have all the qualities of Amoga Siddhi. So we recognize ourselves as Amoga Siddhi. We generate that pure identity at that moment. Okay? Then after that, we recite the mantra. No? In the beginning, normally we make the request when we should say, Lama Tönyo Dorje Ken. Lama means guru. Tönyo Dorje means Amoga Siddhi. Tön means meaning. Ye means to have. Dorje means Vajra, or Tönyo Drupa, which means the other name of Amoga Siddhi. This is the correct name in Tibetan, Amoga Siddhi. Not the other one is incorrect, but the complete name. Amoga Siddhi. Siddhi means realize. Amoga means action. Like means meaning also, actually. So it's the realizer of meaning. Amoga Siddhi. So Tönyo Drupa in Tibetan. So when we say Lama Tönyo Dorje Ken, all Vajra, meaning Vajra Amoga Siddhi, please help me. When we say Ken, Ken means knowing one. You that are the knowing one. And it's a way of asking for help, of making, it's like a sort of please in Tibetan, but like a sort of supplication somehow also. Like, Ken literally means to know. So you that know myself, you that know what I want to realize, you that have already, you are the all-knowing one, please help me. Okay, so that's why we say Lama Tönyo Dorje Ken. Ken is a way of requesting. Even in Tibetan, when you write a letter to someone important, and you write in the end, Ken, Ken, Ken. It means like, please, please, please. You know? Or in the prayer that Rinpoche taught us, Lama Ken, Lama Ken. So it's like, please, please. But it's not, it's like a request of blessing that we do at this stage. Okay? So we ask, oh Guru Buddha Moga Siddhi, please bless me. Please grant me the bell empowerment. And then, at that moment, as we make the request, we receive the bell empowerment, we have all the empowering deities, and so on. And then by that, we have the, how to say, new sensation of bliss and emptiness, purifying the negativities, and in the end we develop the qualities. When we finish this process, and we concentrate on the full qualities of Buddha Amoghasiddhi that we have fully developed, okay, then we recite the mantra. Okay? There are two moments of the recitation of the mantra. Normally, as we do self-healing, we focus mainly on the first moment, but we can also add the second one. The first moment is when we concentrate on ourselves as Amoghasiddhi. We concentrate on the qualities and aspects of Amoghasiddhi, and we recognize ourselves within that quality. So when we say, Om Amoghasiddhi Hum, we are concentrating at Buddha Amoghasiddhi at our secret chakra, or as seeing ourselves in the whole form as Amoghasiddhi. But the most important of all, independently if we visualize ourselves as Amoghasiddhi or the Amoghasiddhi at our secret chakra, the visualization is important. But more than that, we need to have the feeling, we need to have the attitude, I am Amoghasiddhi. I have, what does that mean? I have fully developed the aggregate of composition of factors, the wisdom, the all-realizing wisdom. I am full of wisdom, generally speaking, in a pure state, with an attitude of rejoicing and the power of realization, the wrathful action. I have all the qualities of Amoghasiddhi. I am Buddha Amoghasiddhi. We need to recognize ourselves within the qualities of Amoghasiddhi, like I have these qualities within myself. I am this quality. This is the most important thing. So as we do the Om Amoghasiddhi Hum, okay? The second aspect, the second part, when we recite the mantras, is once we have recognized ourselves as Amoghasiddhi within all the qualities of Amoghasiddhi, then, and these qualities that we recognize, they have started in the moment of the sixth syllable. It's something that we develop, and now they are fully developed. And then we recite the mantra, and we can at the moment take the mala and do 100 times, 1,000 times, as many as we like. This is where we do retreat also. So we do Om Amoghasiddhi Hum, Amoghasiddhi Hum, Amoghasiddhi Hum, Amoghasiddhi Hum, Amoghasiddhi Hum, Amoghasiddhi Hum. And as we do the mantra, we visualize from our secret chakra, where there is Amoghasiddhi. As we remember, we generate everything inside the central channel. The lotus is inside the central channel. Like if this is the central channel, the lotus is just inside of it, and the petals are just outside, like connecting to the other channels that come in. Okay? So inside of it, there is the fifth syllable, the symbol, and the Buddha. So, what happens is that as we recite the mantra, Buddha Amoghasiddhi comes up through our central channel, gets outside from our left, it comes up, turn right, enter our right channel, gets out from our right nostril, and goes to all sentient beings, especially all those that are mostly afflicted by fear, jealousy, and envy. Purifies, grant them the bell empowerment, purify all the negativities of them, which means not like the emanations of the Buddhas eliminate directly the suffering. They guide the sentient beings through enlightenment. And every sentient being reaches the state of Buddhahood, especially the state of Buddha Amoghasiddhi. Okay? And we can visualize all sentient beings as Amoghasiddhis and Samayataras, green in color. And as they reach the state of Buddha Amoghasiddhi, they are all reciting together with us the mantra. Om Amoghasiddhi Hum, Om Amoghasiddhi Hum. They recite together with us the mantra. And then all the emanations, infinite emanations of Buddha Amoghasiddhi, as they finish their task of guiding sentient beings to enlightenment, come back and reabsorb to us through the left nostril. And goes in, enters our central channel, and goes back absorbing at Buddha Amoghasiddhi at our secret chakra. Okay? And we this can be, when we do a longer recitation of mantra, it becomes a constant cycle of Buddhas going out and Buddhas coming in. Okay? And then we can concentrate, like when I did this type of retreat, I like to concentrate, like, okay, depending on how long I will do the recitation of the mantra, for example, we can do one mala, we visualize the hell realms. We visualize all the Buddhas, Amitabha, Siddhi, going to all the beings of the hell realms and helping them, and then coming back. Another mala, we go to the hungry ghosts. Another mala, we visualize the animal realm. Another mala, we visualize the human realm, then the semi-gods, and then the gods. We can make in this way so that it goes into more detail. Otherwise, all sentient beings is quite vast. No? And then if we're talking about the human realm, we can concentrate on this planet, and then on the country where we are, and then we extend to different parts of the world, and we can go into detail. Okay? Like we talk about eliminating fear, we can concentrate on all the different types of fear, and we go like that. Okay? So, we emanate, and at this moment, it is called that we are, this part of the practice is called stimulate the holy actions of a Buddha. Because how can a Buddha help others? By manifesting itself in accordance to the capacity of the sentient being and interacting with them in a way that they can help themselves. It's the only way how a Buddha connects. By manifesting themselves in accordance to the capacity of the others. So the Buddha will manifest himself in accordance to the capacity of the sentient being. Then will interact with the sentient being in a way that he can slowly transform himself and grow to Buddhahood. Okay? This is the sacred actions of a Buddha. So basically, what we do is if we visualize that the Buddhas that emanate, they appear to every sentient being in accordance to their own capacities. And then, for example, for those that are completely overwhelmed by hunger, they give them food. And then after they are satisfied with food, then they can go a little bit giving them something more deeper. They become insatisfied because only material things not enough. Then they start teaching them the Dharma. Then slowly, slowly they guide them through renunciation, bodhicitta, correct view of reality, the stages of the Tantra, and then they guide them to the state of Buddhahood. If we do this practice in more detail, we imagine that when every Buddha emanation arrives at every sentient being, it is like first eliminating their very, very gross level suffering through the 4 types of generosity. So first is the generosity of giving materially. So it's helping sentient beings by giving them food and giving them shelter and clothes and anything that they need materially. But the point is that once they have reached that state of having everything they need materially, they are still unsatisfied. But then they can understand that there is an insatisfaction coming from somewhere else. Okay? Then it's giving love, being kind to them, and then giving them affection, and then helping them to protect themselves from any dangerous situation, the generosity of giving protection. And then still, sentient beings, as we know for ourselves, once we are protected from dangerous situations, we have affection, we have everything we need materially, we still have our mental defilements that generate suffering. So, at that moment, what do we need? The Dharma. So then the emanation is sharing the Dharma in accordance with the mentality of that sentient being. Explaining the Dharma in many different ways. For some, they need more in a verbal way, some they need in a non-verbal way, and it's they're touching their heart, helping every sentient being. As it's helping the sentient being, first it helps them to understand what is really happiness, what is the one's own path of liberation, explaining them the Four Noble Truths, the causes of suffering, how to eliminate what is suffering, the cause of suffering, introducing the sentient being to his own potential, showing him the path. Then teaching him how to love himself. Then he starts practicing abandoning negative actions, accumulating positive actions, helping others. Then we show him the path of open his heart to others. Then the sentient being is there, and then he starts the whole process of equalizing himself with others and opening his heart, developing love and compassion, and then developing bodhicitta. Then we guide the sentient being to the 6 paramitas, developing generosity, morality, patience, joyful effort, concentration, and wisdom. Then goes in deeper and deeper level of wisdom. Then we guide him on the 2 levels of Tantra, generation and completion stage, purifying his mind from a gross to a subtle and a very subtle level until he reaches the state of clear light and the illusory body that gets united with the state of enlightenment. Okay? So basically, this is how, when we visualize that an emanation goal, it's not just go there and take out the suffering and it's finished. We guide sentient beings to the whole gradual path to enlightenment. Okay? So this is what is called the enlightened action. So the enlightened action is manifesting in accordance to the need and capacity of every sentient being and gradually guiding them on the path to enlightenment. First from a growth level, giving them the first level of satisfaction, then slowly, slowly giving to the sentient beings the Dharma, and then guiding them gradually to the path to enlightenment. So if we do the practice with more calm and time, we can visualize this. So this is important for us to have some general idea of how is the gradual path to enlightenment. Because also when we manifest the emanations, in this case of Buddha Moggasiddhi, it's guiding every sentient being through the gradual path to enlightenment. Okay? And mostly those that are mainly affected by jealousy, envy, and fear. Okay? Then, once they reach the state of enlightenment in Moggasiddhi, they recite the mantra together with us. And then the emanations come back and reabsorb from the left nostril, enter a central channel, and reabsorb back into Buddha Moggasiddhi. Then we go to Ratnasambhava. Then again, Lama Rinpoche Dorje Ken, we receive the crown empowerment, through which we experience a new sensation of great bliss and emptiness, purify all our negativities, we receive all the blessings of Buddha Ratnasambhava, in the form of yellow light and nectar. Then we concentrate on the qualities as we do the mantra, in the mudra, we concentrate on all the qualities of Buddha Ratnasambhava, and I am these qualities. I am Buddha Ratnasambhava. We generate this pure identity, this divine pride as being Buddha Ratnasambhava, which means having developed all the qualities to the maximum potential, okay? Such as the wisdom of equanimity, the pure aggregate of sensation, generosity, humility, the action of increasing, okay? So we recognize ourselves as Ratnasambhava. I am Buddha Ratnasambhava. Then once again, we have this, as we recite the mantra and do the mudra, we concentrate ourselves as being Ratnasambhava. We recognize ourselves within that quality. And then as we recite the mantra, again, we can take the mala, or without the mala in silent, we go reciting the mantra again. Om Ratnasambhava Hum, Om Ratnasambhava Hum, Om Ratnasambhava Hum, Om Ratnasambhava Hum, Om Ratnasambhava Hum. And then we visualize inside our navel chakra is Buddha Ratnasambhava. So emanations of Buddha Ratnasambhava go out from our right channel, emanate to all directions, helping all sentient beings, mainly those inflicted by pride, arrogance, and miserliness. And then the same thing, helping them to a material level, manifesting in accordance to the need of everyone, like the beings that are in the hell realm. There's the hot realm, hot hell, so it's first giving coolness to them, eliminating them the suffering of the hell, and then once they have reached a state in which they are free from this very strong and gross suffering, then start slowly, slowly guiding them to the Dharma, and the first creating a connection. What I didn't say before is once the sentient beings have reached a state of some sort of material satisfaction, but they feel they still have the need for something, then the first thing that that emanation is doing to the ascension being is creating the connection, the deep friendship of the spiritual path. It's creating the guru-disciple relation, creating that pure relation so the sentient being can truly rely upon the Buddha. And then starts this beautiful relation of guiding to the path of enlightenment. Okay? And then we go once again guiding all sentient beings from the different levels of existence, the different realms and so on. They reach the state of Buddha Ratnasambhava and Lochana. They recite the mantra Om Ratnasambhava Hum, and then the emanations come back and reabsorb back into our left nostril, to our central channel and navel chakra, Buddha Ratnasambhava. Okay? And then the same thing we will follow at the heart. Akshobhya at the throat, Amitabha at the crown, Buddha Vairochana. Okay? Once we understood one well, the others is more or less very similar. Okay? We are concentrated on a different aspect, but basically the type of visualization and the way how we do it is very much the same. So, as we do this practice, we are training on many different things. Okay? One thing that we are training is that we train in recognizing our own pure nature. We train in wisdom, because the basis of all is that everything lacks inherent existence. That's why I can become Buddha Ratnasambhava, for instance. There is one important part related to that. How to say it? On the Vajrayana path, since the beginning of the sadhana, okay, there in the beginning we did Ayam Ranambam, and then we did Om Sobhava Shuddha Sarva Dharma Sobhava Shuddho Hang. Okay? And at that moment we meditate on emptiness. Okay, and which means we observe all phenomena lack inherent existence, and so do I. So what happened is that since that moment, everything that will appear to us, it appears as the deity, it appears as the emanations, as the Amoghasiddhi, Ratnasambhava, Akshobhya, as the sentient beings, and so on. It appears in all of this, and we know that it lacks inherent existence. The mode of apprehension is that it lacks inherent existence. It's like if we look, let's say, to this, let's take the same example as yesterday. We look to the wall, we know we can look and we can see the difference of each brick. Okay? And we can go and we can concentrate our mind in looking at each brick and relate it to each brick separately. But whenever we change objects from one brick to the other, whenever we look to them, we say, yes, it appears like white or yellow or orange and so on, but it is a brick. But it is made of clay, of earth. Okay? Similar to that, it is said that once we realize the emptiness of one object, we realize the emptiness of all. Because I see the sound is empty of inherent existence. So when I go to the smell is also empty of inherent existence. When I see one object is empty of inherent existence, then I change object, it appears as something else, but its true nature is that it's also empty of inherent existence. Okay? So, in Tibetan we call ngebetsul. Nawa tonsa ngengo. Ngengo is the mode of apprehension. Normally say nawa tongsa ngengo rangshimeba, which means appearance of emptiness, the mode of apprehension of being empty of inherent existence. So the mode of apprehension of emptiness is something very important. And it's something that we need to keep in our practice from the very beginning until the very end. Okay? Something we need to train on. It's not something that comes naturally. So that's why also when we do the 5 empowerments of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, one of the ways of doing it is that when finished the Bell empowerment, before the Bell empowerment, we dissolve into emptiness. From emptiness, we appear as Buddha Mogassiddhi. Then, as Buddha Mogassiddhi, we dissolve into emptiness. From emptiness, we appear as Buddha Ratnasambhava. And like this, we can go on to Akshobhya, Amitabha, and Vairocana, and after Vajradhara. Okay? But the important thing is that in all this process, we should always keep, I appear as Buddha Amoghasiddhi, and my true nature is that I lack inherent existence. So the mode of apprehension is always there at the lack of inherent existence. This remains from the beginning to the end. Okay? Anything when we visualize the whole mandala, the offering deities, all the complex things that we may visualize, the appearance is the mandala, the deities, the offerings, and so on, but the mode of apprehension is of lacking inherent existence. Okay? So we never let go the mind that realizes emptiness somehow. It's always connected. This is a very specific characteristic of Tantra, of the Vajrayana path, because we are training ourselves in the union of relative and absolute truth being realized at the same time. Because the appearance is part of relative truth. Okay? Appearance is relative. The ultimate nature of emptiness is absolute. And only a Buddha is able to realize both at the same time. So what we do, we are training ourselves to be a Buddha. Because at the same time, we are fully realizing the state of the emptiness of inherent existence, of the true nature. But in the same time, we still have appearance. And things appear to us, and we can see and relate to them. Okay? This is the way through which actually it is said that in the Vajrayana path, one of the specific qualities of the Vajrayana is that while in the path of the sutra regarding emptiness, first we need to develop shamatha, which is the single point in concentration on the lack of inherent existence. Then we need to develop vipassana, which is as keeping the single point of concentration that brings a state of bliss, body and mind. One small part of the mind starts to observe and analyze emptiness itself. Okay? So it's the union of the single point of concentration with the mind of analysis on the same object. When through this analysis it brings a state of great bliss to mind and body, that means because we have reached what is called Xinjiang for flexibility, at that moment we have reached the so-called vipassana that realizes emptiness. In the Vajrayana path, it's said that we can develop directly vipassana without needing to go through shamatha before. In other words, we develop shamatha and vipassana together at the same time, because we have single-pointed concentration on emptiness, and at the same time we have the appearance of the deity and the mandala and everything else. So we have analyzing all the mandala and we are looking at it and so on. So the mind of analysis, of going through the mandala and seeing the different appearance of emptiness, but at the same time being focused on emptiness. Okay? It's just one detail of, if you want a curiosity somehow. Anyhow, so as we do the practice, just try always to keep, as we do the purification of the elements, we remember the elements lack inherent existence. As we do after the lotus and the seed syllables and the symbols and the Buddhas, everything that appears to us appears as different things, but they all lack inherent existence. We are always remembering that again and again and again and again. The real correct way of doing the practice, like the best way, is when the mind that realizes the lack of inherent existence remains single-pointed. Like the basis of the whole practice is the realization of the lack of inherent existence, and then everything else is just like, everything else that we perceive is just like a manifestation from that emptiness of inherent existence. So the syllables and the symbols and the Buddhas and the sentient beings, everything that appears to us, it exists as the syllables and the symbols and the Buddhas and everything else. Why? Because it is empty of inherent existence. It can only exist as a syllable and as the symbol and everything else because it's empty of inherent existence. So we keep that perception at all times. Okay? This is also the meaning, one of the meanings when we do the mudra, that the left hand is always there in the mudra of meditative concentration, or as we call it, equal placement on emptiness. Okay? And then the other hand is showing appearance, showing action. Okay? So, we are also training at the same time as we do this part of the practice. We are training what is called the enlightened action. Okay? And the whole sadhana, normally it is like, first we stimulate the process of death, and then we simulate transforming ourselves, the whole path to enlightenment. And at this moment, we stimulate the actual enlightened action. How a Buddha acts for the benefit of sentient beings. So we are stimulating that. We are creating the causes to be a Buddha as we simulate ourselves as a Buddha. At the same time, we are cultivating in our minds the state of love and compassion. Because in the moments that with wisdom, because in the moments that we manifest the emanations that go to all sentient beings, which is the very similar visualization that we do in any mantra recitation. Sometimes instead of emanating the Buddha, we emanate the light from the mantra, okay? But as the emanations go to all sentient beings, we are wishing them to be happy. We are wishing them to be free from suffering. We are acting and we are accepting that we cannot take away the suffering of others, but we can interact with them in a correct way so we can guide them to a state of well-being and happiness in Buddhahood. So, this love and compassion in action with wisdom. So we are familiarizing ourselves with this as we do this part of visualization practice also. Okay? So it's actually a very powerful training and exercise that we do to develop these qualities, which is basically wisdom, love, and compassion. This is the main thing that we should develop here. Okay? And sure, we need to develop our pure identity, which is also connected with wisdom, but it's developing our pure identity, recognizing that we lack inherent existence, and that's why we can be a Buddha. Okay? Then we go on, Amoghasiddhi, Radhasambhava, Akshobhya, Amitabha, and Vairocana. Okay? Once we have finished all the 5, we have connected ourselves with the different qualities, and we have identified ourselves with each one of the different qualities. Okay? This part is called Dorje Le Mewang, which is the empowerment to the Vajra disciple. Then the next empowerment, which is the 6th empowerment of the base, is called Dorje Le Pengewang, which means the Vajra master empowerment. The Vajra disciple empowerment is 5, which is the empowerment of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, through which we are generating a pure identity specifically to each one of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, which is to each one of the 5 wisdoms and each one of the 5 aggregates in a pure state. Okay? Then, the Vajra master empowerment is when we dissolve into emptiness and we appear as Vajradhara. Okay? Vajradhara, blue in color, holding Vajra and bell, in union with Vajradhattvishvari. What does that represent? Vajradhara, when it is given the description of Vajradhara, Vajradhara is the union of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas. Okay? So one way of understanding it can be that the 5 Dhyani Buddhas are like the basis of imputation. Vajradhara is the imputation of the name. Okay? Yesterday we were talking about the meaning of self. Yesterday or the day before, I don't remember. But when we say what is the definition of self, of I, it's the mere imputation of I based on the 5 aggregates. You remember I even said Sometimes we don't say the form aggregate because in the form realm there is no form. Then there are only 4 aggregates. But normally we can say the 5 aggregates, okay? I believe, this is my own very personal understanding, at the formless realm, there is a very subtle form, then there is still form. Okay? But because it's only a very subtle form, it is said that there is no form, because there is no subtle and no gross form. But this is another subject. Okay? The main thing is that we have here the basis of imputation. No? When we take, for instance, the booklet, the basis of imputation are the pages, the cover, the ink, the letters, and so on. Okay? These are the basis of imputation. But the book only exists in the moment that I call it a book. Otherwise, it will be simply a collection of pages. Okay? So if we go to see where is the book, what is the book? The book is nothing more, nothing less than the mere imputation of characteristics and functions under the name of book upon a collection of parts. Okay? So we take a collection of parts, which is cover, pages, letters, images, and so on, and we attribute to this collection of parts characteristics and functions which are condensed under one name, which we call booklet. Okay? So the booklet doesn't exist independent of this. Where if we really go to look, what is the booklet is nothing more, nothing less than the name booklet, which has within it characteristics and functions, attributed to a collection of parts. Okay? What is Lama Michel? It's nothing more, nothing less than the name I, or Lama Michel, attributed on a collection of parts, which are body and mind. Then we go to see the body. What is the body? The body is nothing more, nothing less than the name body attributed at a collection of parts. What is the head? The head is nothing more, nothing less than the name head, which has characteristics and functions attributed at a collection of parts. What is the eye? And like this, we can go on and on and on and on to each and every phenomenon. Okay? So, the booklet is nothing more, nothing less than the name booklet attributed at a collection of parts, which are the pages and so on. The pages, we can go on the same way. But can I attribute to this same object, the same collection of parts? What happens if I attribute the name chocolate cake? It becomes a wrong perception. Why? Because these parts are not able to fulfill the characteristics and functions of a chocolate cake. Okay? Now, in order for us to be able to truly give a name to something, we must assure ourselves that the parts are able to fulfill that function. Okay? So, when I say this is a glass, we can accept to call it a glass. Why? Because it's able to fulfill the characteristics and functions of a glass. Okay? Once we know that the parts are there and are able to fulfill the functions and characteristics, we feel secure into giving the name. And then we can truly give that name. We can truly assign that characteristics and functions. Okay? Once we have doubt that if the parts are able to fulfill the characteristics and functions, we are not able to give the name. This is clear. Okay? So, when we come to ourselves in our ordinary appearance as we have of our own self, we were talking yesterday or the day before that they are the main cause of suffering according to Vajrayana is the ordinary appearance and the grasping at ordinary appearance. Okay? So now ourself within our own ordinary appearance, can we assign the name Buddha to ourselves? Do we feel coherent? Then the parts of imputation can fulfill the functions and characteristics of a Buddha? No. Okay? How can that be possible? I don't have wisdoms, my aggregates are impure, the base of imputation of a Buddha is not there. So as much as I say to myself, I am a Buddha, I am a Buddha, I am a Buddha, I am a Buddha, I don't believe it. Why? Because I don't see that the bases of imputation have the ability to fulfill the characteristics and functions of the name that I am assigning to. Okay? But what happened now in self-healing? We have finished to transform our 5 aggregates. We have eliminated every defilement related to our 5 chakras. We have fully developed an identity based on each one of the qualities of each one of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas. So our 5 aggregates are completely pure. Do we now have the basis of imputation that is able to fulfill the functions and characteristics of a Buddha or not? Yes. That's the moment in which we say, I am Vajradhara. Vajradhara is the union of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas. Okay? And if we use in another way of saying, the 5 Dhyani Buddhas are the basis of imputation, which are the 5 aggregates in its pure state, the 5 wisdoms fully developed. This is the basis of imputation. And when we say Vajradhara, I am the union, I am these 5 pure aggregates. I recognize my own identity within this pure state. So it's what makes from these 5 aggregates one union, and I am the Buddha. I am the holder of the Vajra. This means Vajradhara. The true meaning, if we go more deep into it, holder of the Vajra. Vajra means diamond. Diamond means indestructible, indivisible, non-dual. So what is non-dual? The union of method and wisdom, of great bliss and emptiness, of illusory body and clear light, if we go on another way. So I am the holder of the union of great bliss and emptiness, of method and wisdom. I am a Buddha. Okay? So the process that we go through is first purifying and transforming and recognizing that each one of the aggregates is pure, which is the basis of imputation of ourselves. Our identity right now is based on the 5 aggregates. So as we transform the 5 aggregates, basically when we finish the 5 empowerments of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, what happens? We are totally pure. The base of imputation is pure. So now it's very simple to just come and give the name, I am a Buddha. I am Buddha Vajradhara. We assign that function and characteristics. We assign that name to ourselves as the holder of the Vajra, as the one that exists within the union of great bliss and emptiness, that is a pure being as a Buddha. So we do that because the base of imputation is pure. And this is called the Vajra Master Empowerment, in which basically we become a fully realized Buddha. And we recognize ourselves within that state. Yes? Okay. All practices, Vajrayogini, Guhyasamaja, Yamantaka, Black Manjushri, Green Tara, whatever, okay? Every practice has the same process. If you take a self-initiation of Yamantaka, if you take the self-initiation of Vajrayogini, if you take the self-initiation of Guhya Samadha, they follow the same steps, just as in self-healing. Actually, we have many different practices for different reasons. One reason is because every practice have a different emphasis. So one may adapt more to one person, other may adapt more to another person. Another thing is that by Rinpoche's transmitting us, Rinpoche told me not so long ago, he was saying, originally I was thinking to teach only self-healing. Then when I see that people are really interested and to practice Dharma well, I am transmitting all the other practices in order to keep the lineage alive. Also because there may be one person that, according to his own aspects, fits more to the practice of Vajrayana, or Yamantaka, or Heruka, and so on. But one way is Rinpoche is transmitting all these practices to us, and it's our responsibility to practice and to keep in order to keep this lineage alive also. Okay? But if we go from another point of view, we will see is actually one practice is enough for enlightenment. Okay? Like in our Gelupa tradition, there is the union of actually three practices, which is Yamantaka, Heruka, and Guya Samaja. Okay? And there is a specific reason for that. And Yamantaka is to eliminate the growth and subtle interferences. Then we have Heruka and Guya Samaja, which are specifically to develop clear light and illusory body. Okay? But this is, we're going to another thing. But actually, each one of the practices by itself are enough as a path to enlightenment. There was one great master from India, and now I don't remember exactly who it was, but he would say, okay, what's the practices that you do, you know? And then people were saying, oh, I do this practice, Yamantaka, and I do Guya Samaja, and I do this, and I do that, and so on. And he said, I do only one practice, which was, I don't remember, let's say Yamantaka. Say, because for me, I take it one rope and I keep strong with my two hands and one rope. You are trying to hold many ropes, so you don't know which one to hold tight, no, to go up. And there was another master that he was talking about, because in Tibet it was very common to do many practices. And in India this was not common. So he said, you Tibet, we Indians do one practice and realize all. You Tibetans do all and realize none. This was something that he was saying at the time, no? I don't remember the name now. As always, I have a very bad memory of names. But the point is that we should have one main practice that we focus. The wonderful thing of self-healing is that once you understand and practice well self-healing, it's the basis for all other practices. If we go to Guya Samaja, to Yamantaka, to Vajrayana, to Heruka, it doesn't matter. If you go to any other practice and you look at a self-initiation, you will see it's just self-healing. Okay? But is self-healing enough for a practice for a lifetime? Yes. Okay? The 5 great mothers and the 5 Dhyani Buddhas basically is that we have in our body mainly 2 parts, body and mind. Okay? The 5 great mothers are mainly connected to the aspects of our 5 subtle wings, which is our body. Okay? And on our own path to enlightenment, it is very important to transform our subtle energy also, which is our subtle wings, on the path to enlightenment. And this is represented by the 5 mothers. Okay? So, also, as we go on our path, there is a part of having the correct balance between male and female energy. That's why actually also in the completion stage, I didn't explain before, but we visualize the 5 Dhyani Buddhas in union with the 5 mothers, which is symbolizing the perfect union with male and female energy. So the practice of the mothers is automatically incorporated also within it. Okay? Rinpoche, to make it more clear to us and to give us this possibility, he also showed the 2 practice separately. Okay? But later, I hope we manage with time to do the practice of the 2 together. Okay? Anyhow, now we go back to the Vajra Master Empowerment. So the Vajra Master Empowerment, as we were saying, is the moment in which we recognize ourselves, I am Guru Buddha. I am Buddha Vajradhara. And why can I create this strong, deep identity of being Vajradhara? Because I have already created the identity based on the 5 aggregates being pure. So, sure, I can be Buddha Vajradhara. There is no more anger, no more jealousy, no more pride, no more miserliness. The 5 aggregates are pure, the 5 wisdoms are fully developed. So, it's like the most logical result, I am a Buddha. Okay? So, this is the moment in which it's called the Vajra Master Empowerment. So, it's the moment in which we visualize ourselves as a fully realized Buddha in the form of Vajradhara. Okay? There's nothing to recite. Maybe you have seen when we did the self-healing with a quick recitation. Sometimes Rinpoche says at this moment, after Omavero Chana Hon, he says, Rani Keche Gedorje Chantu Yur. In an instant, I appear as Vajradhara. That's the meaning. Okay? Basically, normally we just do the mudra. Okay? Normally, when we receive the Vajra Master Empowerment, we experience a new sensation of great bliss and emptiness through the Vajra, the bell, and the mudra. So, in the other empowerment, it was through the bell, through the crown, through the vase, through the Vajra, and through the name. At the Vajra Master Empowerment, it is through the Vajra, that is method, to the bell, that is wisdom, and to the mudra, that is the perfect union of method and wisdom. It's also male energy, female energy, and the union of male energy and female energy, which means the perfect balance within our own self. Okay? So this is what is being represented as we do the hugging mudra. It's representing method, wisdom, love, compassion, wisdom, great bliss, emptiness, in a perfect way of union in which we cannot distinguish anymore one from the other. Okay? So, through also one of the commitments in the Vajrayana path is always keep the Vajra, always keep the bell, and always keep the mudra. In other words, is always remember within ourselves method, wisdom, great bliss, emptiness, and the union of great bliss and emptiness. Okay? This is what representing the hugging mudra. Okay? In Tibetan it's called Kyube Chagya, which is literally the hugging mudra. Okay? So, it's interesting also. Now, there are some things when we see Rinpoche explaining, and some people may think, oh, Rinpoche called the hugging mudra because for Western people in our modern time like to be hugging mudra. No. The original name, if we go to look in the very ancient text, it's called the hugging mudra. Okay? There's nothing new in self-healing, truly speaking, if we look clearly to it. Okay? Anyhow, it's just putting everything together in a way that is accessible to us. Then after that, we enter into what is called the secret empowerment. So the empowerment, which is the Vajra disciple empowerment of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, and the Vajra master empowerment are called the vase empowerment. All the 6 together. It's called the vase empowerment. Then we have after that what is called the secret empowerment. The secret empowerment, and after that there is the wisdom empowerment, and after that there is the word empowerment. Everything happens within the central channel. Okay? Everything was already happening within the central channel because there were all the Buddhas inside the central channel, but still we had like the appearance as the Buddha. We were having more like external perception. At this moment of the practice, there is no more appearance of anyone like the face and the hands, and then we are just inside the central channel. So we visualize the process that happens within the central channel. Okay? So there are different ways of explaining the secret empowerment and the word and the wisdom empowerment. There are different symbols that are used for that. The most common way that is used in the like so-called traditional way, like if you take the self-initiation of Yamantaka and so on, is being used a symbology that is somehow more gross, and that it can create some sort of wrong understanding. That's why in self-healing we are using a symbology that is more deep. Basically, what happens is that within, normally in the normal self-initiations or initiations, when we get the secret empowerment and the wisdom empowerment, it's being represented directly by the symbology of sexual union, okay? In which is representing the male energy, the female energy, the union of male energy and female energy, okay? In the generation of great bliss that realizes emptiness. It's being symbolized through the actual sexual union, okay? In the practice of self-healing, Rinpoche have explained it using a symbol that is more deep and somehow more suitable for most people. And actually going more to the actual meaning, because the danger of symbols sometimes, as we said yesterday, is whenever there is a symbol, we need to ask us what's the meaning. We should be careful not to take the symbol as the meaning. Okay? So, here we have two symbols. Okay? Right? The yogurt and the alcohol. Okay? It is symbolizing the male energy and the female energy. White for the male, red for the female. It's symbolizing the two substances that represent the essence of the male energy and female energy. If we look from a gross level, it's the sperm and the ovum. But actually are two substances that we do have within our body, were the two substances that created our body from the first moment of conception. Okay? And the essence of these two energies physically we do have in our body. Okay? I have some feeling, and there is no certainty in what I'm about to say, so just take it as a reflection. There is a connection within the two substances, two types of drops. It is called the white bodhicitta and the red bodhicitta, and our hormones. Okay? I feel there is a connection between the two. Okay? Also, for example, when there is a moment, a physical process of bliss, from the hormones point of view, is something happening or not? Yes. Okay? Don't ask me what, I really don't know. I have never studied it, but I'm sure like when we look like there is all the testosterone and progesterone like becoming more strong and developing the hormones in our body and so on. Similar to that, it's like saying that the white bodhicitta flows and the red bodhicitta flows upwards, and there is a movement happening in this body at that moment. So I think there is, for our mentality, maybe it's good when we make this connection between the both. Okay? The fact here is the following. In the secret empowerment, we melt our bodhicittas, both from the crown chakra, where is the male bodhicitta, the male energy, and as it flows down, we experience a great experience of bliss that overwhelms the whole body with bliss. And then we have the female energy that goes upwards, and it goes upwards because the male energy is of nature of cool. And as it goes down, it generates bliss, and the female energy is warm, like heat. That's why it goes up. Okay? And it again fills the whole body with a sensation of bliss. Okay? So, that's what we call, we have the 16 joys going down and then the 16 joys going up. Okay? Which are the 4 joys multiplied by 4, basically. So, basically, we have from the crown to the throat, we experience bliss. From the throat to the heart, we experience great bliss. From the heart to the navel, we experience supreme bliss. And from the navel to the secret chakra, we experience spontaneous bliss. Okay? Then we have, and each one of these is divided into 4. That's why it's called the 16 joys. And each one of them, and then we have also, this is we call Luktung and Luktok in Tibetan, which means going on the normal order and on the reverse order. So we have 16th bliss going down, and then the 16th bliss is going up, okay? But basically, what is happening? What is the meaning behind somehow? The state of bliss, which arises through a physical process. Just think whenever you have any pleasure, okay? Drinking nice tea. Seeing a beautiful place. Listening to nice music. Having a nice sensation of touch. Anything. The actual, try to connect yourself to the actual specific moment of pleasure. That instant of bliss. At that moment, do we have conceptual thoughts or not? Actually not. The stronger is the bliss, the stronger our conceptual mind does stop functioning. And we naturally enter into a deeper state of consciousness. Okay? So, from all the pleasures of the body, the sexual pleasure is said to be the greatest. And what happens is that it's a state of bliss that the winds absorb naturally within our central channel. And at that moment, there are no conceptual thoughts, and there is no specific perceptions of our five senses. There is just this deep, overwhelming experience of bliss. Okay? There is nothing special about it. Just the bliss itself doesn't make much. Okay? If just physical bliss by itself, and which brings a mental bliss also, if this by itself would be something really special for the path to enlightenment, then most people would have already been enlightened. Okay? And then we could go through enlightenment through practicing just bliss. Okay? But this is not what happens. Basically, bliss is a state which brings the mind to a deeper level of consciousness. But bliss by itself is not so special. As we were saying the other day, yesterday or the day before, when we enter into a deeper level of consciousness, our more subtle level of mind follows the gross thought, the last gross state in which the mind was. So if I enter into a state of bliss with the mind of attachment, I am just making attachment stronger and stronger in a deeper level. Because what is the perceiving the mind, what is the emotion state in which I enter into a deeper level of consciousness? Attachment, grasping. If I enter into a deeper level of consciousness with love, I develop a deeper love. If I enter into a deeper level of consciousness with wisdom, I bring wisdom to a deeper level of consciousness, and I make wisdom more stable and more deep within myself. Okay, I think it's quite clear, right? So, what happened, being quite direct, like, first of all, the experience of being free of the conceptual mind is actually very nice. Okay? Because some practitioners in the past have made the mistake of making the confusion, they're thinking that the non-conceptual state of the mind would be the non-grasping at inherent existence. And this is a mistake. Okay? It's just that in the moment that we have this strong mind at grasping at things conceptually, and we are always thinking and trying to understand and holding things and having ideas, the conceptual mind is always there. When we experience that the conceptual mind fades, it's so nice. Just the fact that we have a deeper level of relaxation. Okay? And some people in the past have made confusion between this state and the realization of the lack of inherent existence. Okay? But which are two different things. It's just a non-conceptual state of the mind. But if we use this non-conceptual state of the mind, if we use this deeper level of consciousness to realize wisdom, then we have a very powerful tool to familiarize ourselves and to realize the lack of inherent existence, to realize wisdom. Okay? So, if we look in the completion stage, generally speaking, like if we go to the commentary of Guya Samaja, okay, given by Lama Tsongkhapa, the whole commentary is divided into 3 parts, which it's combined into the syllable evam. Okay, the sound evam, which represents great bliss, emptiness, and the union of great bliss and emptiness. So the whole completion stage is basically, all the commentary is divided into how to generate bliss, how to generate emptiness, how to unite great bliss and emptiness. Okay? So the process that when we do with the Omani Padme Hum, the secret empowerment, what we are doing is that we are generating bliss. Again, the Omani Padme Hum, again generating bliss. Okay? Through the process of the inner substance or bodhicitta, or the inner energy of male energy that flows down to the central channel. So we visualize this flow of nectar, white in color, coming from our crown to our central channel, and as it passes through each one of our channels, our chakras, it's like if this bliss, which is white in color, it enters through all the other channels, and it fills the whole of our body with this sensation of bliss. It's completely overwhelming. But remember, since the beginning of the practice, the mode of apprehension is the lack of inherent existence. It should always be there. So it is great bliss, and what is the great bliss that I experience? What am I perceiving? The lack of inherent existence. And as it goes down, the bliss gets stronger, so the conceptual mind gets weaker and weaker and weaker, and I bring myself to a deeper and deeper level of consciousness, realizing the lack of inherent existence. So during the secret empowerment, this is happening through the male energy and then through the female energy. Okay? Yeah. No. 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 What happened is the following. The process of the heat that goes up and melts the white bodhicitta is the natural process in order to generate the bliss. Okay? Here is another thing. Here is the process of first, when we have the secret empowerment, basically there is a difference between the secret empowerment is we experience a sensation of great bliss by actually the symbol is experiencing the bodhicitta of the father and the mother, which is the guru. So normally when we use the symbology of sexual union, it is used that in front of us we have the guru, in union with the consort, and by seeing the Guru Buddha in union with the consort, or if we are doing the practice of Yamantaka, as Yamantaka with the consort and so on, and then we receive the white and red bodhicitta from the father and mother, and by experiencing that white and red bodhicitta, we experience a new sensation of great bliss and emptiness. Okay? When we do, and in this case in self-healing, we are actually concentrating on the male energy and then on the female energy. And then this is why it's called the four blisses, or the 16 blisses, the 16 joys in the normal order and then in the inverse order. Like first it goes down, then it comes up. But generally speaking, in order to what we were saying before, the question, when we first generate the female energy or the tomb of fire, that is actually, is not itself is not of the nature of bliss. It's just the fire, the heat that is going up, 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 up. And then it generates, it melts the bodhicitta and it generates a sensation of great bliss. Okay? This is, huh? No, it's also in a subtle level. There is a physical aspect happening, okay? In this case, we receive, that's why it's called the secret empowerment. So by the blessing of the substance from Guru Buddha, we experience, like that's why there's the moment in which we have the white and the red bodhicitta representing, it's like we receive the blessings of the white bodhicitta from Guru Buddha, that by receiving the white bodhicitta, it makes our own white bodhicitta to melt. By receiving the red bodhicitta, makes our own red bodhicitta to melt and to flow upwards. Okay? One important thing during all this process is that our central channel is free of any blockages, so it can flow downwards and it can flow upwards. Okay? Okay. It's called the secret empowerment also because it's represented by a secret symbology normally. That or you are ready to understand, or you can have a completely wrong understanding. This is the point also there, okay? But we are talking about an inner process that is happening. There is a relation with the death process. The relation with the death process is that the part of the vase empowerment is connected with the dissolution of the elements, okay, which is the gross death. And then, starting from the secret empowerment, it follows the same order as the subtle moment of death, which is we have white vision, red vision, black vision, and clear light. Okay? So similar to that, when we purify first the white bodhicitta, then the red bodhicitta come upwards. This is like the white vision and the black and the red vision. The special connection that is within that also is that when there is the white vision in the moment of death, also is the moment in which the white bodhicitta from the crown melts because the knots that block our central channel open, and then the white bodhicitta goes down. And at that moment, we experience the subtle mind of the male energy, which is the energy of aversion that manifests. Then, when the female energy, which is the red bodhicitta, goes up, and at the moment is the red vision, is when the knots on the secret, on the navel chakra, and the first knot in the heart opens. So what happens is that again the red bodhicitta flows upwards, and we experience the red view, the red vision. And as we experience the red vision, again, the subtle mind of attraction manifests. Okay? So what happens is that there is a specific aspect because this is our subtle mind. The gross mind is the mind that has, actually the 5 wisdoms are composing mostly our gross mind. Okay? When we have equanimity and discrimination, giving name to things, and attraction, then not attraction, sorry, when we say like what I do, what I don't do, action, all of this is more like the gross mind. The subtle mind is based very, very basic and fundamental attraction and aversion. This is, if we look all our emotions in a more deeper level, they're all based on attraction and aversion. Bringing in, putting out. That's basically. So, in the death process, the subtle death is when these 2 energies dissolve, and we experience also the subtle mind dissolves together. Okay? At this moment of the practice, we are also concentrating more on the subtle mind. Okay? We are working with the subtle mind of attraction and the subtle mind of aversion, which is the female and male energy, the subtle mind of aversion, male energy, the subtle mind of attraction, the female energy. We are mainly connecting to that at this moment. But we are using the subtle aspect of our male energy and female energy to generate great bliss. Okay? So, somehow when we do this preparation, when we do the 4 empowerments, it's also a preparation for death. It's also a way of simulating the process of death, which is not a specific simulation of the process of death, because it is actually the way how we should, through meditation, induce ourselves to deeper and deeper level of consciousness. But it's the same thing that happens when we die. Okay? But instead of waiting for death, we induce ourselves to that deeper level of consciousness through meditation. So it's basically the male energy dissolving, the female energy dissolving. And when we go to the next step, which is the wisdom empowerment, which the complete name is Sherab Yeshe Giwang, or which is actually the wisdom concert empowerment. It is the moment in which, while in the secret empowerment, there is the symbology of receiving the white and red bodhicitta from Guru Buddha. At the second empowerment, which is the wisdom empowerment, we ourselves enter into union. And then our own male and female energy melts together and absorbs into our heart. Okay? So at that moment, what happens is that as the male energy and the female energy joins in our heart and melt as one, we experience a deeper level of consciousness. We enter into a still deeper state within great bliss. So we always are in the state of great bliss that realizes emptiness, but we go even into a deeper state. Okay? So basically, that's why when we do Maha Sukha, Maha means great, big, Sukha means bliss. Okay? So great bliss, and then we unite the male and female energy at our crown, at our throat, at our secret chakra, at our navel, and finally it unites at our heart. If we had 4 arms, we would do together at the crown and the secret chakra, together at the throat and the navel, and then finally at our heart, because what happens is that it goes like this. Okay? In relation to the death process, that's what is called the black vision. The black vision is when the male and female energy meets at our heart and absorbs at the indestructible drop. Okay? When we do the empowerment, which is called the wisdom empowerment, basically what we are simulating is that we are simulating exactly all our winds absorbing at our heart. All the subtle energy winds and our drops also, which is the male energy and the female energy, they are both coming and absorbing at our own heart. Okay? So at our heart we have what is called the indestructible drop, where our very subtle body and mind resides. So everything dissolves and enters into our heart. In other words, we are entering into a more deeper level of consciousness, because our subtle mind is made of the male energy, female energy, attraction and aversion, and then there is still the subtle mind, which is the neutral energy, or the energy of union, which is basically attraction, aversion, and ignorance. Okay? So this is the moment when we enter into the more subtle level. We are still in the subtle level of consciousness, but it's more deep than attraction and aversion. Okay? So what we do is, in our meditation, we imagine that everything dissolves into our heart, but as there is the union of the male and female energy, through that we experience a sensation of great bliss that is realizing emptiness, and that as it unites in our crown, it comes down and unites in our throat, then in our secret chakra, our navel, and finally everything absorbs in our heart and absorbs within the indestructible drop, and we enter into a deeper level of consciousness as we experience great bliss and emptiness. Okay? Actually, all these empowerments, they are quite deep and complex. It's not quite so simple, truly speaking. Okay? So it's something that the more we go through our path, the more we understand, the more deeper knowledge and understanding we can have. And I think that if we go around through literature, it's not so easy to find things explaining in a clear way. Okay? So somehow even the literature that exists requires to read a lot, to go through many, many, many things, and gradually we have the more deeper understanding of it. Okay? And what happens is that after we do Mahasukha, which is the wisdom empowerment, at that moment all the winds have absorbed within the central channel and have absorbed inside the indestructible drop. So we experience the black vision, but from that state appears the clear light. It's like if all our energy, everything is absorbed inside the indestructible drop, and then we have nothing more than the very subtle body and mind. And then we recognize, we manifest the very subtle body as is called the illusory body, and the very subtle mind as clear light. Okay? And we recognize ourselves as the union of clear light and illusory body, which is the enlightened state. This is called the word empowerment. That is beyond words. Okay? The word empowerment, the actual word empowerment, is the actual state of enlightenment. That is beyond words. Okay? We meditate on this. This is when we do Om Vishwa Shanti Hum. Then when we do the translation in English, by the power of the truth, peace and bliss now and forever. If we make one commented translation, it would mean by the power of interdependence, which is the truth, by the true nature of reality. Peace is emptiness, bliss is bliss, now and forever, which means the state of enlightenment, which is the state of non-dual union of great bliss and emptiness. Okay? Bliss and emptiness, it's also a representation for the illusory body and clear light. So it has the meaning, by the power of the truth, peace and bliss now and forever. It also has the meaning of the actual enlightened state of the union of illusory body and clear light, which is the very subtle body and the very subtle mind in a pure state. And there is the identity that unites both into one. Okay? So, at this moment, we visualize simply like this, similar that we did in the beginning of the practice, is infinite space full of light. And I am the union of great bliss and emptiness within it. And from that state, I generate myself as a deity. Basically, it's like we enter into direct contact with a very subtle body, and we enter into direct contact with a very subtle mind, and we see ourselves, we see the subtle body, the very subtle body in a pure way, and we recognize the very subtle mind in a pure way, as both are empty of inherent existence. Okay? So during the word empowerment, we stay in that state of infinite space with clear light in an inseparable great bliss. And we stay in that state. And this represents purifying our body and mind in a very subtle level. So the four empowerments brings us by experiencing great bliss and emptiness on a gross level, then on the subtle level, a subtle level, and a very subtle level. These are the four empowerments. That's why we have the vase empowerment, which is a more gross level, which is like purifying the gross mind, and the body, the five aggregates. Five aggregates means body and mind in a gross level also. Then we have the wisdom, the secret empowerment, which is purifying our body and mind in a more subtle level, which is the level of our male and female energy. Then we go still subtle level, but more deep, which is the wisdom empowerment, which is the union of the male and female energy, bringing our mind even to a deeper level. And then we go to the word empowerment, which is symbolizing clear light, which is when we enter direct in contact with the very subtle body and mind, and within that state, we reach enlightenment as we unite the very subtle body and mind within the state of Buddhahood, which is like we recognize or we generate the very subtle body as a pure body and the very subtle mind as a pure mind, and then we unite both as one. Okay? I'm simplifying it a lot, the explanation, okay? But this is what it represents as we do the practice. So as when we meditate, making it simple, we just imagine first the white bodhicitta, the red bodhicitta, giving a great sensation of bliss. We clap our hands because this is showing the flowing down of the male bodhicitta, of the white bodhicitta. Then as we snap the fingers, this is symbolizing the pathways, the movement of our energy winds that bring up the female energy. Okay? Then when we unite the hands in Mahasukha, we are joined in the male and female energy at the crown, throat, secret, navel, and finally in our heart. And then as we do the Vishwashanti, when we do the Vishwashanti mudra, we do the Vajra fist. We put the bases of our thumb at the root of the ring finger. Okay? This symbolizes blocking the pathways of bliss. because it symbolizes, as we enter into the state of great bliss and emptiness, not being attached to great bliss, but using great bliss as a means, not as a goal. Great bliss should never be experienced as a final goal. Like Lama Tsongkhapa explains quite clearly in the commentary of Gyasamaja, one of the basic aspects necessary to use great bliss on the path to enlightenment is not being attached to great bliss. Because in the moment that we are attached to the sensation of bliss, it becomes a goal, an objective, and not a tool anymore. Okay? So this is symbolized when we put the two fingers, okay, at the basis of our ring fingers, which is blocking the energy of bliss, which we are not blocking the energy, but we're symbolizing, okay, not being attached to bliss itself, but bliss is just a mean and not a goal. Okay? And then we put our hand in the heart, which in a more general meaning, it means dedicating all the energy we have accumulated for peace and happiness of all beings. In a deeper level, it means the clear light, which is at the center of our heart in the indestructible drop, where our very subtle body and mind lies, in which we recognize ourselves within the very subtle body in a pure form and the very subtle mind in a pure state, which is the union of clear light and the illusory body, which is the actual state of enlightenment. Okay? As we finish this, so we can see the four initiations means generating great bliss and emptiness to purify body and mind in a gross, subtle, and very subtle level. Okay? Of body and mind. After that, what we do in self-healing is we do Lama Kuncho Sumla Kyatsu Chi Rangni Lase Doti Sunecho Donga Chesu Nyercho Tada Dom Gecho Kunto Jishin Droden Che. As we do this prayer, the meaning is Lama Kuncho Sumla Kyatsu Chi. I take refuge in the Guru, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Lama Kuncho Sumla Kyatsu. Rangni Lase Doti Sunecho. I see myself clearly as the deity, as Guru Buddha, holding Vajra and bell. Donga Chusu Nyercho Tadabdom. I uphold all the dharmas of Sutra and Tantra. Gechokundu Jishin Drotenche. And I will benefit all sentient beings by upholding virtue. Okay? So basically it's like by practicing the six perfections, I will benefit all sentient beings. So in all the sadhanas, in the end of the sadhana, there is one thing which is called Tunzam Gilhar Keva, which is generating the deity for the post-meditative moment or for the moment between sessions. This is what we do at this moment. Okay? In a more simple way, it's called a very short six-session Guru Yoga. But this is the moment in which we once again, from that state of clear light, an illusory body as the Buddha, we generate ourselves once again in a gross body. So we generate ourselves, one face, two arms, the world around us, everything is there again. But we have a pure body, Guru Buddha is at our heart, and we dedicate that we will act for the benefit of all sentient beings. So I am holding Vajra and bell. I take refuge in the three jewels and the Guru. I'm holding, so I have the commitment, the connection. I'm holding Vajra and bell, which means great bliss and emptiness, method and love and compassion and wisdom. And with this, I will practice the Dharma and help sentient beings. Okay? So this is where we conclude the practice of self-healing. This is the part of conclusion. Then there is the dedication. And then there is the appendix of the Om Ahom Pe Om Huma. Okay, maybe after lunch we can talk a bit about that. Okay? So this is like the completion stage as it is a self-initiation practice. Okay? I think it's not entering into deep details, but I think it's like, I try as much as I can to explain the meaning behind the symbols. Okay? Sure, there is much more than what I have said, but at least we can have some idea of what is the actual meaning behind it. Okay? So we now do the dedications, and then we stop for lunch. Jetsun lame kutse rapten chin namkar tinle chochur gepadang losan tempe drume sasumgi drove munse tatu ne gyurchi nimo dele tsendele nime kunyan delekshin ninsen taktu delekpe Concho sumge jinge lop, concho sumge ngodrup sol, concho sumge trashisho. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realization and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness. Oma huntumba lame sangye rinpoche, kyoba lame tamcho rinpoche, drimba lame gindu rinpoche, kyamne kuncho sumla chepa bu. Locho sambo pagyo trashi pa, tuche timbe tinle yarngonda, pegye drolo tambe zebrach, panden lame shela chepa bu.